Good evening. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Mayor and City Council of the City of College Park. I'm Mayor Bianca Motley Broom. We have a full quorum present with council members Clay, Karn, Allen, and Gay, and so I will call the meeting to order at this time at 7:30 p.m. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Chaplain Dent is handling our invocation this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council,
Good
and
evening.
community of College Park. Let us pray. Almighty God, God of love, peace, and justice, you have preserved our lives and granted us health and prosperity. And for all your blessings, we thank you. As we assemble for this council meeting, thank you, God, for our mayor and council members as they represent us on the City Council of College Park. May your blessings be upon this body and city staff. Lord, we're so grateful for the various department staff who serve diligently, especially the customer service staff. As we celebrate Customer Service Week, let them feel your love and our appreciation for their service. Bless our first responders and their families as they protect us. Lord, please give all participants who are involved in this meeting the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that is necessary to enhance the lives of the citizens of College Park. We pray for the peace and tranquility of our state and nation. Grant that those who hold power, influence, and great responsibility may seek your guidance and rely upon your aid. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Additions, deletions, amendments, or changes to the agenda?
I have no additions or deletions.
All right. I have one, and I believe we've got paper copies, and gentlemen, you received an email about 15 to 20 minutes ago with the contract for the collaborative firm, if someone wants to place that on the agenda.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All right. So that'd be a motion to place the professional services agreement for the collaborative firm onto the agenda. We will put that down at item 8G and other business. No, the last one. We'll do it last if you want to pass those on. Is there a motion? I'm sorry, you, Councilman Karn, you motioned. Councilman Allen, you seconded for that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is unanimous. And
What is it? You said 8G?
yes. Item 3 is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Councilman Karn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Councilman Allen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is unanimous as well. Item 4A is approval of the regular session minutes from September 18th, 2023. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Karn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is unanimous. We are on to proclamations, resolutions, plaques, and announcements. We've got Public Power Week and Green Power Week. We have the All-Star of the Month and the introduction of new employees for September. All right, so we have a proclamation for Public Power and Green Power Week. Whereas College Park Power provides
provides our homes, businesses, and local government agencies with reliable, clean, efficient, and cost-effective electricity, employing sound business practices designed to ensure the best possible service at not-for-profit rates. And whereas College Park Power has power resources that are over 90% emissions-free and has taken on additional stewardship for our community's well-being through a green power initiative, the first and largest municipal program of its kind in the state of Georgia, started in 2004, and whereas College Park Power's Green Power program encourages cleaner energy solutions through voluntary consumer contributions, so we can provide a healthier environment while still powering homes and businesses throughout College Park. Now, therefore, be it resolved that College Park Power will continue to work to bring lower cost, safe, reliable, and clean electricity to community homes and businesses, just as it has since its creation shortly after the incorporation of the city in 1896 to serve all the citizens of College Park. And be it further resolved that the week of October 1st through October 7th be designated the 37th Annual Public Power Week and 20th Annual Green Power Week in order to honor College Park Power for its contributions to the community and to make its consumer owners, policymakers, and employees more aware of its contributions to their well-being. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of the City of College Park, Georgia, do hereby proclaim that the week of October 1st through 7th, 2023, be designated as Public Power and Green Power Week in the City of College Park. Proclaimed this second day of October, 2023. And just a lot of love for this team, because they do so much amazing work throughout our community, day in and day out. When the power goes out, 365 days a year, they are on call to make sure that we are serving the residents of our city, and we just can't thank you enough for everything that you do.
Losing Councilman back there. We're good.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to introduce the All-Star of the Month. This employee has been with the city since March of 2019. This employee handles all vendor payments for the city and does a fantastic job. This employee is meticulous and thorough in her work and is always willing to help out in any way she can with any issues with billing or payment to vendors. She is always courteous and kind to those with whom she interacts daily. She has such patience and is well respected. She has such integrity and handles her position with grace. She does her job without recognition, which is so integral to the city's day-to-day operations, by paying the city bills and vendors in a timely manner. The All-Star of the Month, the All-Star Employee of the Month for September 2023 is Tracy O'Neill from the Finance and Accounting Department. recognize and introduce the new employees for the month of September. If you are a new employee for the month of September, please come forward and state your name, your department, and your position.
Hi, I'm Craig Jefferson, and I'm a new member of the College Park Fire Department.
Hello, my name is Sierra Carr, and I am the new executive assistant to mayor and council.
All right, we're on to remarks of citizens. Ms. Brown, can you let everyone know how this works? All right.
Yes, citizens have 3 options into making citizen remarks. They could sign in at the podium by 7:30. They could submit a comment via email, or if there's time remaining at the end of the segment, they'll be able to speak for 3 minutes. I will start with the sign-in sheet. First, I have Jamel McKenzie to discuss election issues.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and all that are here today. I am standing before you this evening to formally express my disappointment with this current election cycle. My first concern has been that our voting precinct had been eliminated. We normally have, for the last few elections, we've had a voting precinct here in the city of College Park. And this is a municipal election, and it's a very important election for us locally, and to have the precinct outside of College Park is a disadvantage for many of our people. So that's my first concern and disappointment. I also understand that politics as well as religion can be topics that bring out the worst in individuals. However, for a community that is known for its hospitality and neighborly friendliness, I'm appalled by the behavior of some of the candidates running in this election, as well as their management teams and volunteers. Each and every day, my campaign signs are being both removed from the yards of persons who have requested our signs, as well as the legally protected placements where we're allowed to put signs at during this current 50-day period, because we have 45 days and then 5 days after the election. I have received reports from neighbors as well as pictures and recordings of persons who are specifically associated with my opponent's camp removing my signs from their stakes, stapling my signs to wooden posts, which are illegal, and tossing our signs in the street. I picked up several this morning and this afternoon. This is disquieting because I've had over 150 signs removed, and we've had to replace them, and we've been replacing. It's disquieting because as a city that prides itself in programs such as Keep College Park Beautiful, apparently during election season, it's acceptable to trespass, to steal, and to litter the streets with campaign signs of candidates who we don't want to see win this election. In addition, my campaign has been blamed for outrageous acts that we would never commit in an effort to sway voters and to interfere with a fair election process. I have received hate mail and phone calls from persons who have been deceived and lied to about me, my abilities, and the integrity of my campaign, and the persons who support my candidacy. I chose tonight to expose these atrocities because I personally expect better from the persons running for office in this city. If you have to get dirty, lie, and bastardize your opponent in order to win, it is my opinion that you are not fit to serve the good people of College Park. Lepers don't change their spots. And individuals that was, I have, Mr. Anderson is going to yield his time to me. Lepers don't change their spots, and individuals who will stoop below the gutter in order to win an election should never be trusted to govern our city. Amen. My team.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, Ms. McKenzie.
My time is good. I need to talk. My team and I
understand,
will
but
continue to run a clean and upright right campaign.
We can pause
Okay,
your-
just hold the
we can
time
pa-
then
we
if
can
you're
hold
going
your
to speak.
time. That's
Mayor.
absolutely fine.
Okay.
But I would ask that the audience refrain from comment. Thank you so much.
All
Go
right, it's
ahead.
kind of hard because the things that I'm saying are affecting a lot of our citizens, but we can't speak right now, so I'll just go on. My team and I will continue to run a clean and upright campaign because that is who I am, who I've always been, and who I will continue to be as I serve the people of College Park. I've now hired a private investigator, and we're putting up cameras to monitor my signs since the city is not doing so. In my opinion, it is hypocritical to campaign and to complain about the lack of unity and discord that is displayed by our current elected officials during these council meetings that we're in, and to conduct oneself worse than our current council officials while out campaigning. Let me say that again. It's hypocritical to campaign and in our campaign to down this council when the persons campaigning are acting lower than what we see in these council meetings. We've got to do better. Our citizens deserve better than this political theater, and it is my hope that as the amazing residents of our city vote, that they will select persons to govern who are 1, for the people, 2, from the people, 3, who represent the people of College Park, even while they are running for office, because it begins now. And people who are more concerned about what is good for College Park and our image in the metropolitan surrounding areas than their own dubious agendas. And number 5, persons who will not compromise and decimate the core values of our city in an attempt to attain a position that they are neither morally or ethically fit to serve in. I hope that we can do better. I've even spoken to citizens throughout this city, and they said already this is one of the ugliest election processes that they have seen in years. College Park, we've got to do better. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes, ma'am. I have Mr. James Walker to discuss general.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. In many ways, I'd like to echo the sentiments of Ms. McKenzie. I was one of the first persons to come and make this body aware of what was happening to my signs. They were taken. They were taken off the stakes. They were hung up on poles in an effort to levy fines against me and my campaign. Appalling is not the word. Disgraceful is the word. You all are elected, and I would hope that, as Ms. McKenzie said, we can do better than that. When I went to Mr. Hawthorne, I am so happy that he decided not to play politics and sent out an email to each one of you. Do you think I got a response? No. Do you think anybody on this council cared to respond to me? No. But I tell you who will respond, the voters. Mr. Hawthorne responded. I went and talked to code enforcement. Mr. Robinson was gracious enough to let me know what was going on, and he would work with me. I was taken outside and shown over 31 of my signs that were stapled to phone poles. Disgraceful. And for no one up here to say anything about that, regardless of if you're running or not, you're here as an elected official to do your job. And we wonder why College Park is in the shape it's in. We wonder why crime is out of control. We wonder why taxes are out of control. And our city is so divided. The body follows the head, period. let's get back to business and do our job. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Yes, I have Ms. Beulah Lindsay discuss signs.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Beulah Lindsay, and really, after Ms. McKenzie and Mr. Walker, I can't quite follow that. However, I can say that I have lived in College Park for at least 21 years. I have participated in local, state, and national elections, and I've never experienced one at the local level as the one that we're experiencing now. I echo everything that Ms. McKenzie said, as well as what Mr. Walker said. But I can speak specifically what has happened to me in reference to the signs. I live on Herschel Road, which is a very busy road, without a doubt. And I have put signs up and down Herschel Road, talking to my neighbors, trying to get them involved in this election, wanting them to know that this is a very crucial election, and their voice, they must execute their voice with respect to this particular election. I woke up 2 Saturdays ago with more than 4 or 5 signs of mine that were in my yard, all sprawled out in the street with cars running over them. I could not believe it. And I have numerous signs, but all of them were directed at one particular candidate that I am supporting. I looked at my neighbor's yard, and the same thing had occurred. The same candidate. My neighbor was outside, and my neighbor does not actually live in the home. He lives in New York, and he comes from time to time. However, that is the house that I used to own. Probably somebody thought that I still owned it, but I do not. But the signs were just all out in the yard. I'm just flabbergasted. I could not believe. Of all the times that I have lived in College Park, I have never experienced that. Something is wrong with that. I have a right to put whatever I want to in my yard without someone coming and vandalizing it. You have no right. No one has a right to do that. Whether you agree with my selection or not, I don't have to agree with yours. You have a right to put whatever sign in your yard. I'm speaking you, not individually. Anyone has a right to do that. So I'm asking this body to do whatever you can to ask your supporters, because I cannot believe, I will not believe that any of you would participate in that. I do not. However, some of your supporters are participating, are doing it. Please use your voice and your power to make a difference in this election. I had something else to say. That's it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nobody has any time? I just want to add, I won't take all of the time. One other thing I wanted to mention in addition to that. I am concerned that every time we come before council, we are given 3 minutes to speak, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the time that you take to listen to us. However, I never get any feedback from anything. I don't know, I just see you staring out at us, but what will happen as a result of our concerns? Am I missing it? Is it something that's in the city manager's report that maybe I'm not reading? I don't know. Or is it something that happens much later on? I never get any response. And I've heard other people say the same thing. It's almost like a cursory kind of gesture that you make, that you're allowing us to talk. But for what? I mean, what happens? It's almost like it's an exercise in futility. If you are concerned about our concerns, you don't say anything. And I understand the reason is because you don't have the time. But shouldn't we get some kind of response at some point? Or am I missing it? Does it happen? Is it a report going out and I don't get it? Or is it happening later on in the evening and we're all gone and nobody's here to hear it? Well then, if that is the case, you need to do it some other time. if it's going to happen 3 and 4 hours later, I mean, my God, some of us are seniors. I'm one of them. I would suggest, if you're concerned about the concerns that we have, our voice, giving us the time to come up and speak about our concerns, then you'd be equally as concerned to make sure that you're addressing them and that we are aware of them. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Please refrain from, thank you very much. Ms. Brown?
Next, I have, excuse me for mispronouncing this, Bill Bottas to discuss towing for College Park. Moving along, I have Ms. Bicidia Jackson to discuss fiscal spending.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. How are you guys tonight?
Good evening.
Okay, I am coming before you because I am concerned about how we're spending our dollars. I just got in my mailbox this document that is for a citywide festival. And so it has a mayoral candidate here. And I get it that, you know, she's your wife, but we need to be fair to all of the candidates and use our city dollars wisely, because this isn't right. And I know we have this festival every year, and it is important that we spend our money right. Okay? So I wanted to bring this to you guys' attention, and I want you guys to pay close attention to how our money is being spent. And that's my comment for tonight.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good night. And one more thing. I think that we need to look at our charter to make sure that we're protecting all the residents of College Park, because we got to make sure that if something happens to mayor, that we're going to have quorum. Okay? So let's look at our charter, make sure we don't have any nepotism, and let's get this right, y'all. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Brown?
Next, I'll have email comments, starting with Mr. Demetrius Taylor.
And Ms. Brown, can you make sure that you are close to the microphone?
Is this better?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, and if you have the microphone down, when your head is down, reading, that'll be great.
Okay. Greetings, Mayor and Council. I'm Demetrius Taylor, 15-year resident of the Embarcado Club Apartments in Ward 2. First, I would like to say thank you to Public Works for all the departments responsible for the repavement of Sullivan Road. I'm hoping that this will continue along Best Road and a few other streets as well. These improvements help beautify our city and also elevate some of the wear and tear on our vehicles. Again, thank you. Secondly, Councilman Carr, we miss your monthly, bi-monthly citizen forums so that we can be educated on our crime numbers within the apartment communities and across the city. Please reinstate those soon. We had not had one since Super Bowl Sunday. A few days ago, the Embarcadero Apartments had a major shooting, and CSI-type investigation had ensued in Building 36. We need to know exactly what our safety contingency is and where it needs to be and how we can best utilize our courtesy officers who reside in the complex. An issue I would like to raise is the use of the code red system. When I was personally in attendance, I had forgotten to ask, is the code red system operational for public announcements? It stated previously that the Ward 4 Town Hall meeting was publicized via the code red system, and if that was going to be protocol, fine. But that means that everything that goes on in the city needs to be addressed to this system so that we can improve our communication with everyone across the city. If not, then perhaps we can look into why Councilman Gay was allowed to use the system established to be for emergency information. Is this considered to be a misuse of power, or whoever approved this to be done needs to be reprimanded? And finally, with the 6 West development upon us, has anyone thought about having code enforcement go speak with our apartment communities and businesses to prepare them for inspections and beautification upgrades that will come? New development means old buildings that are not aesthetically pleasing will become eyesores, and of course, market rates will go up and rents will go up. Are we preparing citizens for any of this? I will continue to say that I'm not the voice of the people, I am the people. And these are my thoughts in this session. Thank you. One second. Next, I have Ms. Natasha Barnett. Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and community of College Park. Nothing is more confusing than people who give good advice yet set bad example. In a council meeting on September 5th, Councilman Carn said, "You cannot solve a problem you do not acknowledge that you have." You also said, "Didn't want us to be bogged down by petty dynamics." I agree with you 100%, sir. We have a problem with leaders picking at the lowest hanging fruit and baiting people and becoming rationaries. It is high time both council and potential candidates stop creating an us versus them narrative or stoking fear in hopes of getting a reaction. Speak from facts, not feelings. We will not be distracted into looking where you want us to look when there is so much more in your behavior, associations, or lack of preparation that says more than your words ever will. Show up and get things done with integrity. Integrity implies truthworthiness and incomparability to a degree that one is simply incapable of being false to trust in you or responsibility given to you. You owe it to the entire community of College Park not to be an obstinacious and truly work to move the city forward. You want to attract strong talent? Raises are important, but it takes more than money to retain talent. Great people also leave their jobs because of their environment. Who's evaluating the environment our employees are expected to excel in? Who is protecting their mental well-being from overreach, verbal abuse, or downright disrespect? City Manager, I commend you for speaking out against what you could be perceived as yet another us versus them scenario in the workforce, and implore you to not succumb to the strong-armed minded. Continue to fight the good fight, holding city officials to the charter. We appreciate the work you do and hope your willingness to stand in the gap for your team doesn't create challenges for you. There was a comparison to other cities in the same meeting. Well, we will not progress until we get out of our own way. We say we trust our staff, no question, yet our reluctance to trust the process of checks and balance currently in place says otherwise. Raising the limits on approvals free up departments' head from repeated workflow interruptions to do detailed administrative work. They are still accountable for what they approve. The raise in limits will reduce how often they are disputed and will prevent unnecessary productivity bottlenecks. Council Game, you referenced the potential for a change in upcoming leadership. When a change occurs, I look forward to the city manager being given the room to do his job in its entirety, upholding the city charter. I look forward for the greater efficiency for council and mayor by respecting each other and our residents enough to show up prepared. If it wasn't done for you, take initiative to get it done yourself. It's called ownership. I look forward to less theatrics and more headway. When you reference money, that's my comment. My next comment is from Linda Patchard. With regards to the mayor and city council's attempt to offering a one-time power, senior, and disability utility credit for the first brush appears quite neighborly. However, when given thought, it materializes in being nothing more than an electoral ploy, applying only to categories of pruriennesses, rather than just offering to anyone over 65, senior, or disabled. To elaborate, if you're under 65 and over the category, To elaborate, if you're applying under the 65 and older category, one only applies if you fall below a certain income bracket. Discriminates those 65 and older by virtue of just age and who might be fortunate enough to be a bit more financially protected. So certainly this appears to be a scrupulous attempt at good faith when in fact it was not intended to those who may be able to pay their city electric and water bills. Furthermore, if older 65 would like the city of College Park needs such intrusive financial information for a one-time credit equivalent to their 2022 city tax credit bill, you either are or you are not over 65. A U.S. government recognized ID, driver's license, passport, etc., could easily make that determination. For a one-time credit requiring a copy of a deed, i.e. name must be listed, then how would one know it did not see the deed? Mortgage holders, what does that have to do with the utility credit? Total annual income, which is different than adjusted gross income under the Internal Revenue Code, amounts to artificial acquiring of personal information. So why does the city of College Park want to assume a person's complete financial history, and what are the real unidentified purposes? The city of College Park is not the IRS. To me, what could have been a positive appreciation of senior citizens is in fact a discriminatory action because it is not based on age rather than financial status. That is it for that comment. 1 second. My next comment is from Sarita Kelly. Good evening. My name is Sarita Kelly. I reside on York Road. Let me first apologize. I cannot be with you all tonight, but I'm writing to address some concerns that have been brought to my attention regarding adherence to the election ordinance/rules. It has come to the light that there are several large Karen Corbin signs up and down Main Street which constitute a violation of the established rules. Maintaining the integrity of our electoral processes is paramount. We must ensure that all of our candidates, including those like Jamel, who have been actively contributing to our community, are given a fair and level playing field. It is disheartening to see individuals running for office disregard the rules that have been put in place to guarantee an equitable election. Furthermore, I want to emphasize the real-world impact of those violations. I personally almost had an accident on Main Street due to the distractions caused by those oversized yellow signs. This highlights the urgency of adhering to the regulations for the safety of our community members. Stop putting these signs down and wasting our resources to having to contact you with violations to get them. Mayor Bianca, I want to address your recent actions and behavior, particularly in relation to the upcoming election in Ward 1. As the mayor of our city, you hold a position of great responsibility. It is disheartening to witness your involvement in election processes in a manner that can only be described as unbecoming of your office. At the Meet the Mayor meeting, you stood there and said that you have a Karen Corbin sign in your yard because you are a regular citizen just as others. No, ma'am. At this moment, you are not a regular citizen. You are the mayor, and it is crucial for you to carry yourself accordingly. I'm sure the mayor of East Point does not have a candidate sign in her yard. Engaging in asking residents of high school dynamics, especially during the critical election, is not a reflection of leadership the city needs. Our community faces significant challenges, and it's disconcerting to see our city lacking cohesive and responsible leadership. In conclusion, I implore you to recognize that removing Jamel's signs will not erase the impact she has made on our city. It's time to cease these decisive actions and focus on demonstrating your own capabilities and vision for College Park. The citizens of this city have been longing for effective leadership for the past 4 years, and we deserve better. Rest assured, the people of College Park are ready for change. We are determined to elect a new mayor who will truly address our needs and concerns. So I urge you to reconsider your actions and decisions for our city, deserving nothing less than a leader who will rise above fray and truly make a difference. Lastly, I want to express my gratitude to Mrs. Pamela Gay for her insightful and well-organized meet and greet event. I appreciate the informative sessions and effort put into it. And thank you, Councilman Gay, for your excellent pavements in our... That's it for that one. This is my last email comment. My name is Faith McCullough, and I reside at 2615 Roosevelt Highway in College Park. A woman came to the complex today with some kids and said she was running for mayor. The property manager on duty told her she could not put campaign material on doors. She became very angry and insisted that she had the right to solicit on the property. She indicated that a sign was on the property for another candidate and she had the right to put her information on doors. The property manager warned her that it is not authorized and she had to leave the property. She made disparaging and awful language against our property manager and against me. She claims that she was visiting someone, but she was wanting to put flyers on the door. She should be disqualified. She took pictures and she became very angry, and one of the kids on the property became angry and they started arguing with her kids she brought with her. That is all of my email comments. Madam Mayor, you have 7 minutes and 20 seconds on the clock.
All right, if anyone else wishes to speak, they can come forward at this time.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I appreciate you taking this time to listen to me. My name is Ken Jenkins. I've been in the city of College Park for 39 years. I am upset with what I see going on in regards to the code enforcement. I don't think that the city leaders should use code enforcement to harass the citizens and businesses in the city of College Park. It's not acceptable and it's not professional, and basically it's just misuse of power. And I'd like to see something done about it as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Does anyone else wish to speak?
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. I want to say that this is one of the worst races I ever seen. I've been running working campaigns a long time, but I have a council member up there on the board now have threatened me, threatened my livelihood, threatened my workplace, called the owner of my apartments, Councilman Gay, called the owner of my apartments, threatened to have me put out. If not, he will go make trouble for them. Have called my property manager. So I just want to say, if you cannot be professional, don't be like the ones on the street. This is a professional place. And I'm quite sure, Mayor Bianca, I came to you, went to the city manager. I went to Major Patterson. And thus far, no one done nothing about it. And like I said, he threatened my livelihood by trying to get me put out, making me lose work and stuff, all because I work for somebody else. That's all I got to say.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Can you state your name for the record?
Ma'am.
Your name for the record, the Deputy City Clerk.
Sorry, your name. What's your name? I just need it for a record.
Kenneth Anderson.
Thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Seeing none others, we will move forward to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Thank you, Councilman Allen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is unanimous. Item 8A is a motion to ratify a request to establish an early voting location for Fulton County residents in the city limits of College Park.
Motion.
Thank you, Councilman Carn. Is there a second? Thank you, Councilman Allen. Any discussion? Councilman Clay?
I was surprised at the amount of money that was required to create a polling center. And in answer to someone that brought it up earlier, we will have a polling center if that's approved tonight within the city limits of College Park for Fulton County. It's a lot of money, but I think the vote is important. My initial reaction was that we had one in East Point that was close by, but in retrospect, I think it is probably the most important thing that we can spend money on. $70,000 is a lot of money. You can do a lot with it. We've complained about a lot of things that we've spent that money for. Citizens have complained about things we've spent money for. But I think the vote's important. I think a local vote's important. And I certainly think this is well worth doing. I'm disappointed that Fulton County didn't decide to put one of the districts in College Park, one of the voting polling places, I should say. But that's it. Thank you.
Councilman Carr?
Well, I think it's a bit expensive also, but I also was a bit surprised that we weren't included. A lot of things go into those factors in the county, from the county level, and one of the things I talk about that we need to do a better job in is voter participation in general. Like the city of College Park, Fulton County only has so much money available for so many things. Elections is a department that knocks on the door for money just like all of the other departments. When I was commissioner, I presided over 2 budgets of $1.2 billion. Obviously a whole lot more need than your average size city, but a lot of the times they look at participation in terms of the need. For a city our size, we have the lowest voter turnout pretty much in all of Fulton County per capita. We need to do a better job with participation where we're seen as a priority amongst the 15 cities in this county. So I'd like us to do a better job. Obviously, we have certain dynamics working against us. We're a transient city. We're majority rental, 75% apartments and rental. So that factors against strong voter turnout, which justifies the need for a precinct. But what I am going to do during the next election cycles is to make sure that we're included on the list as an early voting site. I want to encourage residents to increase that participation number so that we are a priority on par with the other cities that vote in larger numbers and at a larger percentage. But I will work with the county city manager to make sure we're on that list for an early voting site without the fee, where that comes in our fee as a request for the county to conduct our elections. So we're going to work on that next year for sure, so we won't have to pay this additional cost.
Councilman Allen?
I agree. It is a lot of money to pay, but it's the right thing to do. So that's my comment.
Councilman Gay?
Mayor, I would like to address it a little bit differently. You can listen to the comments of Mayor and Council towards the end of the session, and that is when we will have an opportunity to address concerns. But I do want to state for the record, they talk about an ugly election and an early voting precinct. For those who are new to our great city, please understand that the gays have filed 3 lawsuits since 1998 when College Park conducted its own elections. When the absentee ballots were being done upstairs on the 3rd floor with Ms. Carsey. Just keep in mind that the gays filed 3 lawsuits, and at one time the gays were countersued, where we actually got help from Republicans. So learn your history and then come and talk with facts. Because it's my son who went to Columbia, and Morehouse said, Dad, that's one thing that you cannot refute, and those are facts. Facts will always speak for themselves. Facts. That's what we need to understand. Facts. So as far as the early voting precinct, I'm glad that we're getting it back at the College Park Library.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is unanimous. Item 8B is a second reading of the adoption agreement and general addendum to the City of College Park's defined benefit retirement plan amendment. Good evening, Ms. Gilbert. Any questions for Ms. Gilbert? Councilman Clay.
I have no questions, simply a comment. There's a lot of good things, I think, in what's being proposed, and I think it brings us up on a par with a lot of the cities around here in many ways. We were lagging. There were good reasons for it. We were hit hard during COVID, and we experienced particularly hard hit because of the high hotel population in the city. But I think this does the right thing for our employees, particularly public safety, that is under a very stressful, both physically and mentally stressful thing. So I think it's the right thing, and I fully support it.
Councilman Carn?
Obviously, good progress. As you all know, I serve on the pension board, and this is something that I think was long overdue. I think also, in terms of one of our goals with HR was retention and recruitment. Retention and recruitment. It's a big deal. It's very important to me. We're competing with a lot of cities that some can offer more money, some can offer other perks and incentives. But if potential applicants don't understand what this means and why this is a more valuable possibility in terms of an option and a perk for them, I don't know how we incorporate this some kind of a way into the job openings or the postings. So it'd be great to look at if there's a way we could, couch that in where they can kind of understand this is an additional benefit that goes with some of these benefits are, that other cities don't have these. So it might be a good idea to think of a way to advertise this, because it's great to have it, but we darn well better let potential applicants know about it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's work on that.
Councilman Allen?
Yes, I want to thank the pension board. This is long overdue, and the changes were very good. So every one of you out there, thank you very, very much. I think it's great we're adding one additional member to the board. I think that helps out a great deal, So thank you for everything you've done. This is getting there. It still needs to be looked at in the future, but it's getting there.
Councilman Gay?
Yes, ma'am. This is my first time on the pension board in the 9 years I've been on council. I believe it's 8 years. So my first pension board meeting, I think we got this done. Hadn't been done since I've been on council for 8 years. I think the first meeting, Councilman Corn, I think you seconded it. I think we got it done. So I'd like to thank, for the record. And also, quite frankly, I would like to see age and service age 65. That's what I'm ultimately hoping for, age and service age 65 with a minimum 5 years work. That's what I'll be advocating for in the future.
Moving on to item 8C, is there a motion to approve the pension plan amendment?
Motion.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Councilman Gay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman.
Clay.
I'm sorry. Councilman Gay made the motion. Councilman Clay seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is unanimous.
Thank you.
Item 8D is a motion to approve the design modification to the Virginia Bridge mural.
So
Motion.
moved.
Second.
Hold on. Wait, hold on. Haven't acknowledged okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. All right. Is there a second?
Second again.
Thank you, Councilman Carn. Any discussion? Councilman Clay?
No discussion. I appreciate the work that the Main Street Association has done. That is a very, very difficult wall to put a mural on. I really appreciate how it's been done. And I'm glad we're making the additional correction at the top, or addition at the top, to take care of some of the problems that we've had. And I'm really appreciative that we've gotten the additional sponsorship that has made possible the addition. So it's just a wonderful example of different organizations contributing. The Alliance, the CID Alliance, that has been amazing. So I just can't say enough good things about how people have worked together to make this difficult job come out right.
Thank you.
Councilman Carn?
All right. Ginger, when do you, so how close to completion? When will we be done?
Actually, I had spoke to the artist, and as soon as this is approved, she said she'll let me know sometime this week.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
And this grant came from where?
Aerotropolis.
Okay. We definitely want to recognize them and thank them and announce them. That's where community partnership comes in, and teamwork gets it done. So we want to thank them and acknowledge them again. These are the type of partnerships that make your community better. So, good deal.
Thank you.
All right.
Councilman Allen?
I just want to thank you and your team for going out and finding the extra money. That's very, very good. Do we know how big the logos are going to be, or how?
2 feet by 2 feet.
Oh, okay.
I do have a picture, if you need a picture of the logos and where they're going to be placed, if you'd like a copy of it. I have it here, if you want it.
If you just send them to us email.
Okay, will do. 2 feet by 2 feet.
Councilman Gay?
The only comment I would say is that you should maybe consider changing the lighting up under the bridge to a whiter light, because it's kind of dark.
Okay, we have talked about that with Glenn Spivey, and he did change the lighting on that, so maybe we can do something better to make it brighter to expose the mural.
One of the things we recommended was to put the lights on the ground. I don't know, because it's concrete, I don't know if you could drill it, but that could help us.
Like a
Put lights at
floodlight.
the bottom like we did down on Camp Creek.
Okay, okay.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Melton. Next is a motion to approve a 2-way stop sign at the intersection of SkyTrain Way and Convention Center Concourse, and a 4-way stop sign at the intersection of Hospitality Way and SkyTrain Way in the amount of $800. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Carn. Any discussion, Councilman Clay?
No, it sounds like a sensible thing to do.
Councilman Carn?
There's several stop signs that do need refurbishing throughout the city. I saw 2, and at some point I don't know if that's Public Works or police, but I'll make sure I point them out at some point. But we want to definitely be cognizant of that.
Councilman Allen?
No, these are
Much needed.
desperately needed right there. There's been a lot of close accidents that I've seen, so it's definitely needed, so thank you.
Councilman Gay?
No comment.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is unanimous. So is there a motion to approve the proposed 2024 mayor and council meeting schedule?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Allen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That is unanimous. Item 8G is the professional services agreement for the collaborative firm.
No, I've had time to skim it, and I was talking to Winston, and I said, Winston, are you reading it too? And he read it, and he's good with it, and I'm good with the parts that I read, and I think it's the right thing to do. So I'm good. I'll move to approve or whatever, but I'm good with it.
You made a motion to approve, correct?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Allen.
Discussion.
We'll start, go ahead, Councilman Carn.
I want to make sure this thing is okay where everybody's okay with getting it straightened out. I still don't know exactly how this thing got mixed up. I was told that it happened one way or another, but regardless, I'm glad we're here. I see Mr. Hightower is here. So is this what we, is this good, city manager? We got it wherever it's supposed to be, right? With everything.
The mayor and council have not provided budgetary funding, and it came to my attention when it was discovered, because I'm new, so I didn't know it was an annual contract and that it had expired back in the summer. And by the time I was made aware of that and had a chance to verify, I also learned that there aren't sufficient funds, difference of close to $100,000. Knowing that the mayor and council had given me the ability to come back in the first quarter to address issues such as this, reorganization, and priorities that you had set. So we're 2 weeks off from that. I wouldn't say that it's a concern, but I don't think it's healthy business not to have the funds in place when you direct staff. I'll give an example of a project, and this was early in my tenure, of speed humps that the council approved. I think it was back in May. A few weeks ago, Councilman Gay inquired about the project because it happens to be in Ward 4. What we discovered was, although council had approved it, the funding had not been approved. Staff doesn't have the ability to spend without the authority of council. So what I had told Mr. Hightower and the council all along, we've got enough money to get us through until the first quarter. And so that would be my recommendation. Administration doesn't have the ability to change it. This is putting the cart in front of the horse, in my opinion, but it's the council's call, and I'll do as directed.
Well, we just want to make sure and I guess some of that kind of, in a sense, predates you. I wasn't aware that it wasn't funded. I remember when we approved it, but you know, a lot of things can fall through the cracks sometimes as well. But I think we want to. Well, moving forward, we can kind of, you know, do it a little more comprehensively, I guess, where everybody gets on the same page. You know, starting with the city manager. So, all right.
Councilman Allen?
Yeah, this is one that fell through the cracks, which never should have fallen through. Mr. Hightower, I thank you for having your people work without a contract. So I appreciate that very much. But this is something that we need to make right. So that's all I've got.
Councilman Gay?
No comment.
Mayor, I have one more comment.
Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think the thing that, city manager, the thing that caused me to be in favor of it is, everybody knows I'm paranoid, and I don't like the idea of having somebody working for us without a contract if we can avoid it.
There is a contract.
Well, my understanding is that there isn't a contract at this point.
You approved the contract in the summer. It didn't have sufficient budget authority. I've always been aware of that. We're coming back in 2 weeks with the budget authority. But you approved the contract at $120,000. Mr. Hightower brought to my attention that I guess informally the council had committed a year ago to a higher rate, which would make the contract $218,000. That's an additional $100,000. My recommendation is to put the budget authority in place along with the contract that you've already renewed in 2 weeks. That's the administrative recommendation, but the governing body gets to do it how they want to do it.
Mr. Hightower?
Just for the record, welcome, Mr. Hawthorne, and appreciate you being here. I put through all of my correspondence that this happened prior to your coming, and I'm glad you're in the city of College Park. Correction, there is no contract, Mr. Clay.
There is?
There is no contract, Mr. Clay.
When did the
I think what he's referring to is the council passed action the first Monday in August to approve the 130. But there is an existing contract that my firm had with the city of College Park. And just for the record,
we authorized.
That is correct.
We authorized a certain amount of money, not enough amount of money, but we didn't approve a new contract.
That is correct. So just for the record, there is no, you are correct. Mr. Hawthorne is incorrect. There's no contract. And just for the record, it was 130, not 120. But there is no contract. And I appreciate you and I said all along that it happened before you got here, and Mr. Hawthorne, but also very clearly, and thank you, Ms. Sally, members of the council. I'm just surprised I'm even here tonight. It's embarrassing. It's flat embarrassing. So hopefully you won't listen to Mr. Hawthorne's comments, which were incorrect, and quite frankly, were totally inappropriate. Appreciate your consideration.
Councilman Allen?
No, I'm finished.
Okay, Councilman Gay? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, that's unanimous. Thank you. City Attorney's report.
Madam Mayor, I want to thank members of the City Council and the city staff who came out on the 21st of September to my firm's rebranding event. It was a wonderful event, and it was made more special by College Park representatives being present, especially Councilman Allen, since my building sits in Ward 3. Thank you.
City Manager's report.
Let me start with, for the record, you were just told that your city manager was incorrect. So on the record, I'm asking that the city clerk's office verify what the council approved back in the summer, and we'll give you an update. As you know, Mayor and Council, we prepare a bi-weekly report of comprehensive activities across the organization. And I presented that report to you over the weekend. It's a 40-page report. We make it available to the public. We also prepare a condensed version. I'm going to speak on only a small part of it, but what I consider to be very important. We're talking about earlier today, just a moment ago, the city's finances. And that is what I focused on in my portion of the report. We are upon a very important time that the council afforded me, given that when you approved the budget, I was still early on, and I didn't have a chance to really participate in the budgeting process. And so in affording me additional time, it also went with assessing the needs of the organization. And I think the issue with planning services is a small example. And I've got a lot to say about how we plan. And if you afford the opportunity, we will do that in this first quarter financial review. However, I understand that we're having trouble getting a date for the budget workshop. I've asked for at least a half a day. And I think we've asked over the last 7 days, and we have yet to get a date set. So it may be that we have to ask that we do it all in one day. And maybe that's on October 16th, because I think it's important as you get ready to set your millage rate, as you look at other priorities that include my 6-month assessment of needs of the organization that has to be balanced with our fiscal resources and limitations and being sensitive to the community. But I'm going to give you an honest assessment. And there's a lot that's right with College Park. I'm very proud to be here. But there's a lot that's deficient. In some cases, startling so. So it's important that I be able to have a conversation along with the team, community building leadership team. We want an informal setting to have a real discussion, but I will tell you it's going to take a good 4 or 5 hours. And then action is going to be in your hand. Implications even with the millage rate that you will also be setting on October 16th. One of the things that I wrote you about, and I've said this periodically since I've been here, in some ways, when you look at our population, even the area size of the city, we're a small city. College Park is probably one of the most unique places and organizations that I've ever been associated with. And I've worked and I've managed large organizations with $1 billion budgets annually. Even with 15,000 people, 130 million budget is significantly higher than most other places with such a small population when you count our residents. But we all know, because of our location, because we host the busiest airport in the world, that on any given day we have tens of thousands that we're responsible for, multiple tens of thousands in any given day. So we're a small city, but we're complex, including our finances. Complex finances, opportunities that such small cities don't normally have, but we also have our challenges that are probably disproportionate based on a predominance of multiple family dwellings, that we should have major concerns. Before I got here, as you know, in some ways, I think it was a smart decision. In other ways, maybe not so smart. Key vacancies that existed in this organization. And when such vacancies aren't filled by top-notch people, the community suffers. And we happen to be on the verge, because of the way that we're set up and because we haven't done good succession planning, is something that keeps me up at night. What the team will be presenting to you is not a wish list. They are needs of this organization, and we've done it comprehensively. And I think we're all going to learn a lot. But we're complex. Our finances are complex. And I will tell you, I'm still learning. I want to recognize our finance department led by Althea Flor Bradley. Althea is good. She's very good. Your city manager's still got to learn, but I'm learning. And I'm learning quickly. Periodically, I'm going to be writing to you about what I call my financial thesis. And this was the start of it, but I think it's going to help us reach our highest potential. But the finances are key. I want to be as transparent about our finances as I can be. When we've got money, I want you to know about it. We're not going to hide it. When we're short, I'm also going to tell you. And so a key question is going to come up even as we set the millage rate. And I want to lower millage rate as much as anybody. And I know you said it a little bit higher last year to get through difficult times. But I don't think I've been brought here for the status quo. College Park has unlimited potential, but we've got our issues. 6 West is a sign of glamour, great opportunity, and almost across the street, across town, we have conditions that we can't continue to allow. So I need you to hear the building official. He tells you about some of the things that he's discovered and how we can do it better to address some of those situations and what we may be short of. Another item that I discussed with you in this financial thesis was fund balance. Fund balance, net position of the city, financial net position, tells us a lot. We don't have a sad story. But it's important that we understand what we've got and how maybe it should be used to address some of our challenges. But best practices is important, and I share it with you. Studies, writing that has come from the renowned organization on finances, the Government Finance Officers Association. I'm going to share a quick example. What the Government Finance Officers Association recommends. And I explain unassigned fund balance along with restricted, unrestricted, and so on. And the minimum that they recommend is 16%. And most organizations that I've worked, including large organizations, Fort Lauderdale, Lakeland, Florida, both billion-dollar budgets, those organizations struggle, when I was there, of maintaining that minimum. And I shared with you our balance sheet. We haven't updated it for the most recent fiscal year, June 30, 2023. I hope to have updated numbers that are projected, although they may be unaudited, when we meet in budget workshop. Our fund balance is healthy, quite healthy. I believe largely based on policy set by the mayor and council. It's been in place since 2012. We've got 80%. Our total fund balance. According to the balance sheet, as of June 30, 2022, 56%. So we're at the upper limits of the unassigned fund balance. I project, I haven't seen the numbers, that for June 30, 2023, those numbers are going to be even stronger. And with all of that said, also talk to you about the tax digest. Important information for us to understand as you set the millage rate, whether you're going to leave it the same. We set the adopted budget based on the current millage rate, 13.619 mills. You have the ability to lower it. Our finance director is conservative because she has to project. She didn't know the tax digest when the budget was being developed. So where we are, the latest numbers, these will be updated by the time we have the budget workshop. If we leave the millage the same, our adopted budget will be to the good of $1.5 million. That is more than we projected when the budget was adopted. If you lower the millage, and I've heard talk of maybe reducing it by a meal, maybe to the level that it was previously set, we'll still be the good of $318,000. So that's the good news. I don't keep information from the council. You will hear from your experts, people that you're paying sound money, not a wish list. And I've had a chance to hear the first round of them. And this number may be high, but you'll understand it when you see the long list of items, including your priorities that you set, that wish list, and you had maybe a couple dozen. So you're going to be hearing a request of $8 million. It's not a wish list. It's needs, real needs in the organization. I'm not going to recommend $8 million to you. But I project that I'm going to recommend a sound amount that you'll ultimately have to prioritize. So I hope that you'll keep an open mind. And one of the reasons why I don't like to take budget out of sequence and looking at items is because the true budgeting process, you take it all into account, all of your priorities. So part of what we've got to fund are some things, even 2 things that you approved this evening that haven't been budgeted. And I understand both of them. Approximately $100,000 for planning services, approximately $75,000 for the election site in College Park. So those are out of the sequence of the comprehensive budget, but we'll have an opportunity to factor those in along with what the numbers look like today based on the tax digest. And I think we'll have a good session in pursuit of making College Park the very best that it can be. It's the reason that I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Report of Mayor and Council, Councilman Clay.
I'm very concerned. I only have one thing to talk about. And I've been on council 16 years. I don't have a personal dog in the fight for this election. I have a personal concern because I'm not going anywhere. At least I'm not planning to go anywhere. This is probably the most disappointing election that I have seen since I've been in College Park. And there's a reason for that. For 16 years, we've been improving the position of College Park, and longer than that. I'm not attributing this to me in particular, but I've had the opportunity to see it improve over 16 years, buying our land back, trying to manage the budget responsibly. And where we are right now, we are seeing a very well-organized election. Not on the part of all the candidates, but there are powers at work outside of the city of College Park. We are on the radar. The city manager's comments could not have been a better introduction, I think, to what I'm concerned about. We went through several years where outside developers were trying to help us out after we got our land back. They wanted us to turn our land over to them, and they'd take care of it for us. And we had spent a whole lot of money to achieve that. We went through one developer, and we went through another developer, and finally we spent $500,000 to lay out a plan for 6 West. This city is in the catbird seat. And there are a whole lot of people outside. I won't say a whole lot. There are some key players, I believe. I'm not going to name anybody. I'm not going to talk about any candidate. There's nothing exciting that way, guys. I'm just giving you a perspective. This election is critical to the future of College Park. There is a lot going on. I believe it's being orchestrated by outside powers. And even inside powers outside of the city council, because there's a lot at stake here. So my advice to the citizens of College Park that have a say in this election, and everybody has a say in the election, right? Because we are electing a new mayor, possibly a new mayor. Potential of new mayor. So there are false flag operations going on. You've heard allusions to some, but they might be false flag operations. It's going to be really hard to sort out who is telling the truth, who is deliberately trying to mislead, who is getting their facts straight. Most of the electorate probably does not want to take the time to understand what the candidates are speaking in favor of and what they cite as their expertise and so forth. And I'm not going to get into the candidates. But if you don't care about College Park, if this is just a stopping point, if you're going to move on in a year or two, well, that's unfortunate. That's one of our problems. We have a high turnover. But if you're planning to be here, and certainly I'm planning to be here, you darn well better listen very carefully and try to substantiate what people are telling you. Go back and look at what people have said in council meetings. Go back and find out some background on the candidates. And, you know, what have they done in College Park, one way or the other? What's their background? Do they seem to be honest? We need a lot of integrity in this election. And pray a lot. Because the average person probably just does not understand how much at stake we have in this election. And so I'm just going to urge you, if you have ever cared about College Park or the status of this city, this is the time to be an educated voter. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Carn?
Good words. City manager as well. You know, keeping an eye on the funds and what we're spending up here is very important. Contrary to popular belief, we do not have unlimited funds. And our budget has its limitations, so we have to be very careful with what we're doing and how we're doing it. You know, we depend on staff. We make a decision up here, and we depend on their expertise to figure out how to fund what it is we'd like to do. Can we fund and do everything that we would like to do? No, I don't think any city can. But we need to set a date for this budget workshop now, I think, because it's very important that we get that squared away. For me, the 10th, the 11th are good. I don't know where everyone else is, but I think we need to get out our calendars and get a date here, some consensus of a date before we leave out of here. I would definitely recommend that. Councilman Clay, you know, I don't know what it is, but I guess I tend to listen a little more attentively to your observations, maybe because I realize they're going to be limited in a few months here. I hope you still come down and visit with us for public comments and the whole nine, but we've got a lot to think about and we've got a lot to do. Maintaining local needs. We talked about additional large projects, and I wasn't necessarily in agreement with some of those because we don't have the capacity to keep up some of our features and amenities that we have now. But in terms of this election, yeah, it's getting kind of ugly, and I've seen, you know, ugly elections, that have come and gone. But I mean, I guess it's par for the course. I will speak on this election signage monkey business. I think this is something that really needs to stop. You know, code enforcement is got their hands full with the things they have now. They're trying to come out from being understaffed. I guess, and the last thing they need is a headache like that. But it's election season, and again, par for the course. Listening to residents there, public comments obviously is, I think, the most important part of this meeting. I've said that before and I'll say it again. I think it's the most important part of this meeting. Now, with that being said, if we were to start giving feedback, you'd have a back and forth that wouldn't be very productive. But here's what I have seen in other cities. We do have a community outreach person or someone that handles some of that position or somewhere along those lines, I believe. I don't know who that is or exactly what it is they're doing specifically, but something along the lines of a city manager to consider, and I've seen a residential public comments report which addresses those concerns from the previous meetings, per se, along those lines. In response to public comments, from the previous meeting, here's the report, something along those lines, where we want residents to know that we're listening. I do write down the concerns, and I follow up with staff on some of the concerns, and we try to address the concerns. But at the end of the day, the true bosses are the taxpayers that pay the freight for all of this that you see around you. So I think we need to look at something along those lines. In terms of the city just in general, the direction we're going in, I think we're doing well. I think we've got some improvements we need to make. Taking another look at this budget in different ways is going to be very important. We know the type of city we are now. We understand that we're a hospitality city, and I think that's been hammered home to the point where we understand that transient base of residents and what it does and what it means. It means a lot of litter. It means a lot of traffic and a lot of eyeballs evaluating our curb appeal and maybe deciding if College Park is the place for them to work, play, to open up that business or not based on curb appeal. This is why I think we need decent beautification budget. We've got a lot of departments that have needs. The staggering amount of visitors, justifies those needs. And there are lots of concerns here. When someone throws down trash and, if there's peace and quiet on the weekends, a lot of people are depending on us for some type of stability in their lives. And I look at the mornings when people bring their kids to the bus stop, and they're depending on that bus to come on time. They're depending on MARTA to be on time, which is a big problem in the city, by the way, as well. Making sure that that scheduling is right and on time. It's very important. There are a lot of important things that slip through the cracks in terms of our community liaison, our intergovernmental liaisons. There's cities that demand that those MARTA buses be on time, and when they're 25 minutes late, that's a serious, serious, serious problem that may not reach a certain bubble area of College Park. But it's important. It's important to the hotels and motels. It's important to the folks that may not have transportation, the workforce of this city, who the majority of whom live in apartment communities. It's important to the homeowners as well. It's important to everybody. So we got to really make sure we're looking at things holistically, not sectionally, you know, and this is not a tribal thing. I don't think these elections should become have a kind of a tribal demeanor about them. This is one city, and we've got to really figure this out holistically and together. So I'm hoping we do better. Obviously, I can't stress enough, if you're a resident here, you need to vote. You know, there are two different kinds of residents, you know, two different types of citizens, you know. They're citizens, and everyone's a citizen, but there's an official citizen category. And those are the folks that come out and vote. And you've got to take a look at that. And we want all of our citizens and residents to be official residents. Now, there's some people that don't vote based on, you know, their religious, you know, objections and the whole nine, but at the end of the day, you're paying for that vote. And those taxes you're going to pay whether you vote or not. So I always say don't leave your money on the table for someone else to spend, because you don't have to like politics or politicians at all. You're going to keep paying for that vote. That's guaranteed. So we want to be wise where our money is spent. And there's some communities that when they don't vote, that tax money leaves that community and finds its way over to a community that does vote. Politics and finances, it's a strange relationship. So we want to keep that in mind, and it's not necessarily a matter of preference. It's a matter of, you all heard of the squeakiest wheel gets the oil? A lot of it is that. You know, the funds are going to go where the requests are being made. A lot of requests are determined by the electorate. The electorate. You know, and I can't stress that enough in terms of elections. The money is going to go where the people are demanding it go. A lot of that is through elections. You know, I've got 3 daughters, and they are grown, but when they were little, one of them generally ate a little more than the other 2. So my wife and I, obviously, we didn't want to waste food, so the one that didn't eat as much, they would leave food on the plate. So what did we start to do? Well, we would give her a little bit less food so it wouldn't be wasted, because the other 2 were finishing off their plates. Makes sense, right? So one of them got a little bit less. Did we love them that one any less? Of course not. But there wasn't as much of a need there. Again, you know, the squeakiest wheel gets the oil. So we've got to understand everyone needs to participate if you want an equitable community. And things aren't equitable. I can look in an area and I can tell that there's a 20% voter participation. Where I can go in another area and I can tell there's a 65% voter participation. So it makes a difference. And everyone needs to get involved. And the polls are going to be wide open. And they're free for now. So I would suggest you participate because you're already paying for it. So that's all I got.
Councilman Allen?
Okay. City Manager, thank you very much for your comment. our needs are. There's a lot of needs in this city. We put a lot of things behind us and not filled. Equipment needs, street needs, infrastructure needs. We need to make sure that we're looking at these things. And our budget is one of the most important things that we can do. Is there a lot of overreach in some of the budgets? I'm sure there probably are. Are there things that we need to spend money on that we're not going to? I'm sure that based on your needs and the citizens' needs, there's going to be some give and take. So we're going to all have to work on this and start with the budget and make sure we have a budget that we can sustain and make sure that we can meet this budget because we're required to do that. As far as signs in the city, I appreciate the people getting up and talking about the signs. I think the way the signs are make our city look trashy, and I don't like them at all. But that's part of the politics, and they're part of what goes on, and they're going to be out there, and they're going to be out there for 35, 38 more days. But I'll be glad when they're over and they're up, and we can make sure that this city looks like the tourist city that it should be. When people drive through our city and they see all these signs, I wonder what they think. When the people fly into the airport and they see all the signs and everything out, I wonder what they think compared to the signs in their cities. Some probably are a lot worse. I worry about that. As far as the election, the only thing I'm going to say is be an educated voter. Look at the facts, look at what's going on, look at who you want to represent you, and vote for that person. But everybody get out and vote. It's very, very important that you get out and vote. Citizens, it's about you, the city. We work, and everything we do is for you. But I'm here to tell you that I'm also here for the employees of the city. If the employees in the city work hard, which they do every single day, and they like their work, and they stay because they like their work, and they like the atmosphere, that will go on, and the city will become better. And again, the city citizens will become better based on that. You look at Delta, you look at Chick-fil-A, they take care of their employees. And that's one thing we need to do is make sure that we take care of our employees. There's a lot of good things going on in the city. We had the Japanese Legislative Caucus come in to look at how they can invest in the city. And I'm sure they're looking around. They saw a lot of potential, and hopefully we'll get investors. 6 West is going to be very big, and we need to be looking at every opportunity that we can look at. I won't go into some of the things that are happening in the city, but I will tell you that Trunk or Treat is going to be very big on the 27th, and we have a lot of police that get involved in it, and I want to thank the community police for what they do and making sure that this is a great event for the citizens, but for the kids in College Park. They will have a great time. So take your kids, take yourself out to Trunk or Treat, and enjoy a night on the city. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Allen. Councilman Gay?
I have a couple comments, Mayor. Is the videographer, can you see me on the thing? Am I being seen okay? My volume is fine? A couple comments. The group that was just here to complain about the signs, that was just theater. Those are professional liars. And I'm disappointed that they would come to my city council, my city department managers, and leave here being appreciated. They're the ones putting the signs on the trees. They're the ones taking the city logo and putting them on flyers and sticking them on federal mailbox. They come down here to use our microphone and our video in hopes that people see them to get them some kind of edge in this election. That's all that is. Signs only cost about $6.85, Ambrose. You can go get $1,000 and buy all the signs you want. Signs don't vote. Signs don't trump feelings that people feel that been neglected year after year after year after year. You can buy 1,000 signs. It's not going to change the way somebody feel about your character. They not stupid. They know what they not get. They know what they're not getting, city manager. They see the inequities. They know you only knocking on their doors once a year, twice a year. These people are not dumb. They're very educated. They may not be living in Ward 1. They might live on Cambridge. But them mamas over there in Windsor Forest care just as much about them children and what they quality of life as anybody else. Don't think you're going to come over there and throw these flyers on their doors, stick them in their doors every 4 years and think because you bought some flyers and you bought some signs and you send your friends over there that it matters. It does not matter. It does not matter. As far as that festival goes, let me give you some background, please. When I first got elected, the most people voted in the city didn't even top 800 people citywide. 800 people probably didn't vote in the whole city. It wasn't until I ran for office that we might even start watching elections. And I had to sue this city 3 times. I had to sue my colleagues. Them 2 are down there. I had to sue them. Just to get a fair election. The clerk was the election superintendent. We had to get the DA involved. We had to get the state election board involved. So don't come down here with all this shenanigans. And don't come down here and lie on me. Don't lie on my family. You have a right to say what you want to say, but don't lie on me because that's not going to be acceptable. Second thing is, for 6 years, we didn't get a dime for our festival. Not one dime did this own council give us from our own, not one dime did I get from my own colleagues for 5 years. For 5 years, not one dime. So we go out and we raise the money. And even this festival this year, we're having to raise over 65% of the money from what we can't get. And since we have a CPA who wants to be a mayor, guess what? The money we spend on the festival don't even come to 1/10 of 1% of our budget. And by the way, we got a great law firm. We got a great city attorney. We don't need a CPA for a mayor, and we don't need no more lawyers for mayors. We need common people with the common touch. And as far as the sign goes, I just left Jackson, Mississippi. One of the poorest cities, one of the poorest states in the nation. They got signs, man. They got so many signs. I ain't never seen so many signs in my life. So I don't know what it is. If you can afford a sign, go buy a sign. As long as you don't block the right of way, whatever. Jack Longino did that. He the one control those signs. It's time to redo the whole sign thing anyway. If you can buy a sign, buy a sign. But I will say this to you. As long as the sign conforms to the zone that is in, you don't get to tell what you put on it. You don't get that. You don't get to tell what you put on the sign as long as it conforms to a zoning. And you don't use our city logo and put it on flyers and nail them on mailbox. And you're supposed to be a lawyer. And I'm going to say one last thing and I'm done. I was looking at a candidate's website the other day before they decide they want to be in office. I was reading it. Maybe they forgot to take their website down. The candidate said they live in Buckhead. They whoop with parents. Proud Whoop, nothing wrong with Whoop. Nothing wrong with Whoop. Glad to have them. Proud Whoop parents, we live in Buckhead. But now all of a sudden, you over here in the college housing view, y'all are in apartments, you're knocking on all these doors, begging these poor people that ain't never seen you in their life. Why? Why would anybody want to support you? Why? Then you got a man who come down here who worked for Ignite. Then he's on the campaign. Then you give him money. You vote for him you vote for the nonprofit. Then the nonprofit get the employees to come down here and campaign against us. That's not smart. That ain't smart. Then you having political forums at churches, chapels, churches. You go into a church to debate. Really? I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm about through, but I just don't get it. You got a woman who's supposed to be on the Democratic Women Council endorsing a man. Really? You got women on Democratic Women Council coming to a meet and greet, saying all kind of nefarious, and you endorsing a man. I don't even get what's going on. And the last thing I want to say, and I'm done. I feel some kind of way that people could come down here, get dressed, come down here just to attack me. Y'all don't have that problem. Y'all don't have that problem. I got a whole crowd of people back there just to attack me. So that means we must be doing something right. We must be doing something right, Ambrose. So, you're going to be out of pain in a minute, Ambrose. In a few months, your pain going to be over with. You ain't got to frown no more. You're going to be out of pain soon. You'll get to sit at home, drink your wine, watch your planes. That's all I got, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Well, had the opportunity to meet with some representatives from the Atlanta Apartment Association a couple of weeks ago with our city manager, and really enjoyed the conversation and the opportunity to engage them. They have folks who own apartments in our community, and I think every opportunity that we have to foster relationships with these organizations so we can have better lines of communication, improve conditions, and ensure that we are continuing to build that community that we deserve, we should take it. And so just want to thank them for their time and looking forward to continuing the conversations. Had the opportunity to do more training with the Georgia Municipal Association, because I just don't think that we can do enough training in this space. We have a lot to learn as a community, as individuals, to make sure that we are stronger, better, and always on the cutting edge of everything that we need to know in order to serve you. So had a great engagement with leaders across the state in classes like making cultural diversity work and data literacy and storytelling, two key things that impact our community, because we always talk about the fact that data doesn't tell the whole story about our city. And Mr. Hawthorne alluded to it during his comments. And so it was a great opportunity to learn a little bit more about the questions we should be asking when we see data, and making sure that we've got the information we need to get the right outcomes from the information. So it was a really good opportunity to engage with more leaders across the state. And Ms. Carter, I know that we got some good news today in regard to our participation in the local infrastructure hub boot camp. That boot camp is going to be going on for the next several months, and we've been selected to participate through the National League of Cities, and it will help us be better prepared to get federal grants. And it was something that they presented through a number of conferences that I've been at through NLC, and Ms. Carter's arrival was just perfect timing for us to be able to take advantage of that, because in the next several years, there's going to be a lot of federal funding coming down the pike, and we need to be ready because a lot of communities across the country may have ARPA funds that they are focused on spending because they got large tranches of them. For example, Macon-Bibb County got somewhere between $75 and $80 million. Now, we got about $5.7 million, and most of that had to go toward revenue replacement because of the intricacies of our finances, because we had a convention center and an arena that basically had no one in them for the better part of 2 years. So we didn't have as much flexibility as some other communities with those ARPA funds. But for those communities that are focused on spending those ARPA funds by the deadline, they may not be front and center and ready to get some of the other federal funding that's coming through bills such as the bipartisan infrastructure law. We have the opportunity to be ready. And this boot camp over the next several months will help us get ready, and I'm excited for the opportunity for our city, for our staff, as we continue to move forward. And lastly, on elections, it doesn't have to be par for the course. We can run decent, civilized elections that don't tear people down. We do not have to be like the folks that are on the national level or even on the state level. We can be better. It doesn't have to be par for the course. We can all commit right now that, there's just no reason for it. We don't have to touch other people's signs. We don't have to tell lies. I was in church yesterday, and they were talking about how folks wanted to kill Jeremiah because he was telling what the Lord had him say. Sometimes we can just tell the truth, and it's not always pretty, but we can still tell the truth, and we can be honest with one another. Because at the end of the day, most of us are going to be here. We're still going to be neighbors. And we should be able to work in a way that allows us to have a healthy exchange of ideas and accept outcomes and still be neighbors and friends. Is there a motion to approve the executive session minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman Clay. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Carn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. We are adjourned at 9:27 p.m.
Can we set a date for this budget workshop?
Unfortunately, I can't. I'm having some computer issues, so I can't see my work calendar.
Madam
So-
Mayor, Queenie, I think the date was set for October 4th at October 9th, 4 p.m.
I don't think we can make that. I don't think we can
that's
make that
Columbus.
deadline, and we don't have a venue.
We're done.